Let me introduce you to Debbie Rose, Arthritis Action self-management trainer, trustee and a person who lives with arthritis, who will help share some tips and techniques to enable you to better cope with the emotions of living with arthritis. Hello Debbie, can you share with us the different emotions people have when living with arthritis and why they might have those emotions, why they feel that way?
Yeah, on the self-management courses that we've run, the main emotions that come up time and time again are fear, which is a real big one, and that's usually because people are frightened of the future. They don't know what the future holds and if they might lose their independence. Lots of people are angry, especially if they've just newly been diagnosed. They're angry as to why it's happened to them. They don't think they deserve it. Guilt is another big emotion because they think they're holding people back, letting people down. If they can't walk as fast, they can't do as much. Frustration is another one because they can't do what they used to be able to do. And they have to ask for help more. Lots of people feel anxious because they don't know how bad their condition's going to get, how quickly it's going to get, because once we've got arthritis it doesn't go away. And it's like a grief really, it's like losing the life that you had depending on the severity of your arthritis. Denial, if they're newly diagnosed, they think it's really not happening to me. I can sort this. And it's all part of the stage that you have to go through. Some people are lonely because they're frightened to go out and they don't think anybody will want to spend time with them because they may walk slowly or they might get tired. And people get tearful, they're sad because of all the emotions that are going around. And when you're in constant pain, it makes you tearful as well. Embarrassment is an emotion that they have, because they think people are looking at them if they're walking differently, or if their joints look a little bit different, or if they're very slow to get up out of the chair. And all of this causes stress, which is a big emotion. And any stress that we get, if you've got arthritis, quite often it goes to your weakest point, and that's usually the joints, so it makes it worse. And because of all that, depression or feeling low, feeling blue is also a common emotion that happens. Because it is life-changing for some people when they've got arthritis. Also, it's a relief to some people to get a diagnosis, but it's how they deal with it.
Debbie, I know you have arthritis, so how do you deal with your emotions?
Well, when I first was diagnosed and it started affecting my life, obviously it was very difficult. But now I've had arthritis for quite 30-odd years now. Now I've come to accept I have to have limitations. I can't do what I used to do, so I've accepted that. I get more tired now because it takes much more effort to do anything. I have to work harder at it, and it takes me longer. Now that I've got grandchildren, I do suffer from guilt a lot because I can't run around with them very much, and I can't pick them up very well. And I do get embarrassed because I sometimes walk slower than most people. Sometimes I limp, sometimes I just walk differently. Sometimes I can't get up from a chair. So embarrassment, I'm still working on getting over that. I'm obviously frightened of the future a bit. I don't know how I'm going to manage, but I'm sure I will. So I don't want to lose my independence. And I'm trying to learn how not to do too much to prove that I am fine, because I get stressed when I'm trying to fit too much in. So this is all work in progress still, and it always will be, but because I'm a positive sort of person, I do practice what I preach, and it is so helpful.
And what are some of the strategies that you use to deal with these difficult emotions?
Well, it depends on the emotion and how I'm feeling at the time, but there are lots of different options I've tried and that other people try as well. One of the really useful ones is doing some sort of exercise, getting outside in the fresh air, whether it's walking, anything at all that you find enjoyable, but just getting out and forgetting about your arthritis. Planning for the future is really useful, because then you don't worry so much about what's going to happen, because you think I've already got that covered. Making sure you keep socially active, because otherwise you're isolated. Even if you don't feel like it, once you accept invitations, once you get out, you feel so much better. And even just phoning a friend when you're feeling a bit low helps. Distraction techniques, which is in one of the other videos, that's really useful to forget what's happening to you at that moment and think of doing something else, which you'll see in one of the other videos, which is helpful. One of the main things is to learn to adapt to however you are on that day. If you're in a lot of pain, you have to pace yourself and you don't try and push yourself too much. So you adapt to it. Positive talking, all the time I talk to myself, but not out loud. But I do talk positively of what I can do, and then I know I can't do certain things. I'm getting better at asking for help, because I'm not very good at that. And I'm good at rewarding myself for actually achieving things with a treat. Writing down how you feel or talking to people about how you feel is really good rather than hold it all in. And setting goals is good for you to succeed in so that you can build on that for later. And sometimes just helping other people makes you feel good. You feel useful. And there are lots of people worse than us anyway, with whatever they've got wrong with them. But the most important thing, I think, as a strategy is to have a plan. So when you're going through a bad patch with whatever emotion, think, well, this is what I do when I'm feeling like this. So you need to think about it in advance. What I would do is cancel what I've got on that day, hot water bottle, video on, bar of chocolate, done.
Sounds good.
But it works for me. It might not work for other people. But having said that, all of these strategies might not work sometimes. So you can't always manage it yourself. Sometimes you have to have some help, in which case, please don't keep trying. Contact your doctor and talk to them. Well, I hope now that we've talked about it, that you will give these things a try. Some people will give some of these things a try, and I hope you find one or two that will actually work for you and make you feel better.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.